Hi, this is a quick video to show you a little bit of what the jobs look like. So I'm looking in Frindle right now, and our first job is to read chapters 1 and 2, do figure to find that we find, and answer question 1. So our question 1, all of our literature questions are here. Do you think you will like this book? Why or why not? So there's a video, a Prezi to go along with this, and so they have to restate their question and tell why. So I just did a starter for them here because it will be an opinion. It'll be individual for each of them. I think I will like this book because, or I do not think that I will like the book Frindle because. So I gave them a couple starters to show them how to restate it, and to the because to tell the why. The figure to find is always in section 7, so they will be adding to this, and we'll take a closer look at that when we get to section 7, although they need to be working on it through the whole book anytime they find it. Section 2, still continue to work on figure to find. This is after reading chapters 3 and 4. They're going to do Word Wizard and questions 2 and 3. So Word Wizard has a sheet that tells them everything they need to do. They put the word, which we found etymological. They're supposed to use words that they or they don't think people their age would know. It's on page 20. This part of speech was an adjective, sentence. The dictionary embodies unparalleled etymological detail. It was a very long sentence, so I showed them how they can cut it down as long as everything they need for what they decided their meaning was. They then say, I think it means, and we chose something about words, precise and specific, and then we found the actual definition with the dictionary, the origin and development of a word. So that's what they'll do. They'll choose their own words and share those in book club. They do that for 4 different words, and then they answer questions 2 and 3, which again are up here. So you've got questions 2 and 3. I guess from what point of view is this book written? What text clues support your answer? And how does the author feel about the subject, and how do you know? So this book was written in third-person point of view. Page 1, was Nick a troublemaker? Nick is the main character. If he was telling the story, he would say I. So that's how we're defending that we know it's third-person point of view. I think the author likes Nick Allen because on page 1 he states, was Nick a troublemaker? Hard to say. One thing's for sure, Nick Allen had plenty of ideas and he knows what to do with them. If he did not like Nick, he would say, Nick is a troublemaker. So that's the defense for why they chose their answer. So we're always asking them to pull from the text to defend their answer. Number 3 was, what other books have you read that are similar or different to Frindle? Alright, section 3, we're reading chapters 5 and 6, figure to find, always working on that, and sum it up, which is writing a summary of each chapter, and question 4. So here is a summary of chapter 5, and then I left 6 open because the students tried that on their own, and then we talked about that together. In section 4, continue figure to find, fortune teller, and question 5. So fortune teller asks you to put in one of those aha moments where you guessed what was going to happen based on the clues. So we're working with foreshadowing here. So they put the page number and they write the text from the book. So in this one it was, Mrs. Granger pulled a fat white envelope from her desk and held it up. This is a letter I have written to you, Nicholas. I am not going to send it to you until this is all over. I want you to sign your name and put today's date across the back of the envelope. And then we decided as a class that I think that Mrs. Granger wrote an explanation why we shouldn't change a perfectly good word. I think she is sure she will win and he will open the letter soon. If you've read the book, you know that does not come true, but that doesn't matter. We're making a guess, an educated guess based on the text, and that does fit our text, so that makes it a good answer. It's always fun to go back to those when you've found out whether you predicted it or not. And then question 5, again, the questions are up here. They're going to take one of their figurative, find, hyperbole, stereotype, or anecdote answers and explain the author's purpose for using it. And for section 5, we have text detective. So this is one of my older books, and I used to ask the question and then have them put the text evidence. In the updated version, I've taken the text evidence out and asked. I'm having in the text evidence video, it'll show them that you say, "I know this because," and that's when they state their text evidence. So it's all in one big paragraph instead of broken up. If I have students who struggle with that, then I can break it up. But they seem to be doing that pretty well now. So they have 2 questions they need to answer and get evidence from the book to tell why that answer is correct. And then question 6 from the front. And this is what a character. So we're talking, this one actually looks different this year as well. It used to be just a half a sheet and they wrote on the paper, but I've done it on a full sheet this year. The idea is pretty much the same. We are looking for character traits and feelings, and they need to tell whether it is a character trait or a feeling, and whether it's a fact or an inference in the text. And then this one is question 7, where they actually make a multiple choice question as if they were the teacher making a test. These are very entertaining, by the way. It's funny how many of them come to you and say, it's hard to write a test. And then we get to section 7, which is the accumulation of all the figurative find. So what they do is when they find onomatopoeia, they write the page number, they write the sentence. So Nick let out a high squeaky blackbird peep, and they underline the onomatopoeia in the sentence. So we've got personification here. Her eyes could twinkle and laugh too. Adage, so mind your P's and Q's. A pun, the Lone Granger, and so on, with the page number and the underlining of what. If it's the whole statement like this one, then obviously they don't have to underline it. And then we have the plot diagram. So they fill out the characters, your bigger characters in the story. So you've got Nick and Miss Granger, the setting, and the background. So Nick has a history of having a good time through antics at school. The conflict is Nick is determined to start his new word, and Miss Granger is determined to stop him, or so it seems. The resolution, due to Miss Granger's help, Nick's word makes it into the dictionary, and then giving examples of what the rising action is, the climax, and the falling action. So most of them enjoy doing that. And then questions 8, 9, and 10 go on this page. Oops, I didn't write question 10 there, but it would go either on here or the back side if needed. Nick changed during this story in 2 ways. Nick grew up from a 5th grader to a college student. The second way Nick changed was he went from being an outgoing, fun-loving boy to being quiet and more self-aware. However, he started to regain his old personality. So it's just talking about character changes through the story, based on, again, these questions from the front. How has the main character changed during the story? So one thing to know about the questions here, you'll notice most of them are in black. If they're in blue, they are fiction only, and then it's even marked here nonfiction for the red. So if you're reading fiction, you'll answer the blue and the black. If you're doing nonfiction, you'll answer the red and the black. So that's how they know which question to answer. And then anytime, say they have two options. Oops. Say we get to, well, some of that won't be a hard one, I don't think, but let's say text detective and they're not quite sure what to do. They can first go back to the page, come back to Frindle if you're in your next novel and see what they did there as an example. Also, you have this book club job descriptions, so this tells them what to do. So they go to text detective, answer the questions with one or more complete sentences, locate textual support that provides an answer or a clue to the answer for each question your teacher gave you, copy the text support. Now, of course, that's going to be stated a little different in the new one, and list the page numbers where you found the textual support. So that goes over the jobs and what they look like. Thanks for watching.